Maseches Avos, Pirkei, the second chapter, Mishnah Yud Beis, the 12th Mishnah. Going further with the statements of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's students, we begin. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Yihi mamon chaverach, the property, the money, the property of your chaver, should be chaviv alecha kishalach. It should be as precious to you as that of your own. It should be the property. It should be as precious as your own. You see somebody's property in peril of being damaged, you should step in and try to prevent it to whatever degree possible. You should seek the welfare of your fellow. I'm reminded a very, very long time ago of a story that happened to me. It's an inconsequential story, but I was not raised with a lot of these scruples, and I was in class. I was just beginning to learn Hebrew. It was many years ago, and one of the students was a very sort of a distinguished older gentleman who was learning Hebrew with us. And he was very scholarly, had already conquered many areas of learning, and was now applying himself to the study of the Bible, study of Hebrew, Jewish culture. Was a very refined individual. Anyway, he had stepped out of the classroom, and he had this is funny, he had a briefcase that I envied very much. I've always had a thing for nice nerd gear. I've always liked nice pens and nice, bags and whatnot. So I, being young and being curious, went over and began to look at the bag, because I had never seen a bag of this quality before, and I wanted to see it up close. And the teacher saw me, messing with the bag. Obviously, I was not intending to harm the bag, but the teacher saw me with the bag, and he yelled at me that I should not be messing with something that is somebody else's. Now, at the time I took affront, because I felt like I was old enough that I shouldn't be talked to that way. But in retrospect, he was absolutely right. He was embodying what this Mishnah, what this teaching says, is that he was legitimately concerned that I was going to somehow damage or do something, maybe even without intending to this distinguished gentleman's property. So he was concerned for this person without this person being here. So every time I see this Mishnah, this reminds me of that. And I've also, thank God, I've got a long way to go, but I've come a long way. So I feel now that I've internalized this, this is a sign of how I have changed over the years. Anyway, enough of the personal stuff. Fine. So the property, the value of the property of your fellow should be as precious to you as that of your own. Fine. It's further. V'hasken atzmacha lilmod Torah. And you have to prepare. You have to be masaken. You have to do tikkunim. You have to prepare yourself, atzmacha lilmod Torah, to learn Torah. She'ena yerushalach, because this is not an inheritance for you. People who are Jewish, yes. People who have great rabbis in their family, people who have a great illustrious ancestors. Even so, this is not a Yerusha. This is not an inheritance. You don't just stand there at the back end of history and receive it all. One has to work in order to acquire the Torah. It is something that requires constant work and toil in order to match up, or even come close to matching up to your ancestors. This is not just something that you're born into. Obviously, being born into it helps, but even people who are born into it don't just passively sit there with their arms open and receive it. Fine, and then the last but certainly not least, and this is maybe probably one of the hardest virtues of all to take on, is kol ma'asecha yiyu l'shem shemaim. All of your acts, all your maasim, your ma'asecha, yiyu, they should be l'shem shemaim, for the sake of heaven. There should be some sort of godly purpose in all of your acts. And this certainly is something that is hard to achieve. We have so many interests. To find an element of holiness or an element of godliness in everything, in eating, and our cravings, our interests, our hobbies, things we like to do. How do we find a way to square those for ourselves that they are for the sake of heaven? So anyway, that is something that I struggle with. That's anybody that honestly tries to do this also struggles with it, because it is a very difficult thing to achieve. So anyway, nevertheless, it is a virtue that we should strive for. Okay, I wish you the best. We'll see you with the next Mishnah. Kol tuv v'tzlacha rabba. Keep learning.